Okay, so now we're over in Figma. For the sake of timing, I already select our icons, our colors, and our font sizes. To give you a background on how I like to design in Figma, I like to use auto layout a lot, which is essentially CSS Flexbox for Figma. And to give an example of where this would be useful, here we have a navigation mockup. So let's say we wanted to left align it. We can do that. If we wanted to change the spacing between the elements, we can just, let's say, change it to 20. We can also change the horizontal padding here, so we can change it to, let's say, 28. It's just simple, it's easy. But without auto layout, what we would have to do is select all these elements, move them over. So if we want to right align it, move it over here, hold Option to check our padding. Now it's at 16, which is good. And now if we wanted to change the spacing between these guys, we can keep them selected, change this to 16 over here. But then now it moved over a little bit to the left, so it messed up our padding here. So now we'd have to nudge it over again to get to 16. And it's just a lot more tedious, and it's a lot more clicking and dragging around without auto layout. So I really try to use auto layout when I can. Now, there are some times where it kind of messes things up. And let's say like if we were to use it here and none of these guys are in auto layouts, if I was to turn it on now, things get wonky. And so you kind of have to be strategic about how you use it and know that you're going to use it beforehand, so that way you don't end up in situations like this. But we'll see that as we start designing. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm gonna press F. Then I'm gonna click desktop over here. Move this guy down. We're gonna rename it. Let's just say blank. This will be our starting point. We're gonna press Shift 2 to bring it into focus. And now we're gonna change the fill to light background. We're gonna press F again to create a new frame. This is gonna be our navigation bar. We're gonna give it a fill of light level 1. Give it a shadow using our Shadow Kit plugin. The orientation here, it's at the bottom, and we're going to change the elevation to small. And now we're going to add an icon here. And now we're going to make this an auto layout. And so auto layout automatically hugs its content. As you can see here, it's hug. We can actually change this by either changing it over here or just by dragging. So here I'm just drag this out, and you can see how it changed to fixed, right? And then for the height, I'm going to change this to fixed height and then change this to 56. Okay, let's move this up. And now we can add 2 more icons. We can right align them, make sure they're centered, give them a horizontal padding of 16, and then give them a space between of 8. And now we can change these. So let's make this the chat icon. Let's make this the moon icon. And this is just a placeholder for an avatar. Okay, and now we can make this a component. So let's hold Command Option and then press K. So that way, if we wanted to change the actual order of these icons or we wanted to change them, we could, and those changes would actually show up on all the other frames that are using this navigation bar. Okay, so we're done with this. Let's click, hold Option and drag it over. All right, and we're going to name this chat clicked. All right, so this will be when we actually click our chat icon. So let's change this to it being filled. And then now we're going to create our conversations pop up. So pressing F to create a frame, we're going to give it a fill of light level 1, a rounding of 12, and we're going to give it a shadow of small. And for this guy here, we're going to actually make a header that says messages, and it has a plus icon to create a new conversation. And then we'll have our conversations here. So this would be a avatar with a display name and the message text here. And so we're going to create our header here. I just press T so I can bring up the text. I'm going to type messages. Make sure the font is 18. Make sure the font color is light primary. Okay. And now I'm going to drag over a icon, make this our plus icon. All right. And then I'm going to make this a auto layout by selecting both of them, pressing Shift A. And then we're going to make it space between instead of packed. All right. So now we need to create our avatar. So I'm going to press O to get our circle. And as I drag, I'm going to hold down Shift so that the width and the height are the same. Make it 48 by 48. And then we're going to give this guy an image. So we're going to go to our plugins, Unsplash, click Portrait, and then we're going to use this guy here. Give him a name, pressing T again. I'm going to type John Rummy. Make the font size 16. Make the fill, let's say light primary text. And then we're going to type our message. So press T and give a dummy message. So this is a very long message. We're going to give this a font size of 14. Give it a fill of light tertiary text. Okay, and so now these guys are related. So we're going to put these guys in a auto layout. Have the spacing of 4. And then now these two are related. So we're going to give them an auto layout as well. Give them a spacing of 8. Okay. And so now we have this guy in the auto layout, this whole group in the auto layout, and then these two guys are in the auto layout. Now finally, we're going to make this whole thing an auto layout. Make it a little bit taller. Give it a width of 360. And as you can see, this guy is still hugging here. We can fix this in a couple ways. We can actually drag this out and have a fixed width. Or a better way would be to say fill container. So that way it stretches all the way out to fill this container. And we can do the same thing here, although it wouldn't change much. Just make this fill a container. All right. Okay, so that's our conversations here. Let's go ahead and get started in making our messages. So I'm going to option click and drag. Okay, we're going to rename this to, let's say, chat messages. All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of this guy. Press F, create a new frame. Give it a fill of light level 1. Give it a border radius of 12. And then we're going to give it a shadow of small. All right. And now for this guy, what we're going to have is a avatar with a display name and a username, a minimize button, a close button, our messages, and we're going to have a message input here. All right, so let me go ahead and shift 2 here. Let's start with the avatar. Press O, create a circle, holding down Shift. Let's make this 44 by 44. And we're going to use that same image over here. Unsplash, portrait. And then we're going to give this guy a name, John Rumi. Font size of, say, 16. Make sure it's a primary text. And then we're going to give him his username. So let's just say J Rumi. All right. Font size of 14. We're going to say light tertiary text. Make this an auto layout. Make these two guys an auto layout. And make the spacing between them 8. And then we're going to drag in our button. So here we go. Make this a close button. And then we're going to make this our minimize button. Okay, now these two guys are related, so we're going to make this an auto layout. Just going to say 0 spacing between them. Actually, I think 4 is fine. And then we're going to make this whole thing an auto layout. Make sure it's centered. And then we're going to say space between. All right. Now let's create our messages. So what our messages, we want an avatar with the message box, and we want another message box over here. So since we're messaging this guy, let's just go ahead and copy him, bring him down, make him a little bit smaller. So let's just say 28 by 28. And now let's create our message frame. Give it a fill of light level 2, border radius of 12. All right. Now let's give him a message. Let's just say, hi, this is a message. Make this message 16 and give it a fill of light primary text. Okay, and then we want the time. So let's say 12:30 p.m. Put this guy here. And then we're actually going to make this whole thing an auto layout. Which, like I said, if you're not strategic, can mess things up. So we're going to make this guy fill the container. We're going to make it right aligned. And we're going to make this guy fill the container and be left aligned. And then for this guy, we're going to have a horizontal padding of 8, vertical padding of 8. And then we're actually going to have this be space between. So that way we can make it whatever height we want. Okay. And then we're going to make this guy an auto layout and have the spacing between them be 8. All right. And then I want to make him have a text of 12 and a fill of, say, like quaternary text. All right. We're just going to option click to drag this guy down and say, this is a very long message. Change the color to, let's make this light primary text. We could make it a custom text if we wanted to. I mean, a custom color, but light primary text would be fine for now. And then we're going to make this text a light inverted primary text, and this text light inverted tertiary text. All right. Since this is light inverted tertiary, let's make this light tertiary. Okay. And now we're going to make these two guys be in a auto layout. Drag this out. And we're actually going to put this guy in the auto layout again. So that way we can fill the container and right align it. So that's kind of tricky because we're adding an auto layout to something that doesn't really need it, but we're just using that just so that we can right align it. And so with this guy, we actually can just make this left aligned. And so this guy would be to the left and this guy would be to the right. And then the spacing between them, let's make it 20. Okay. And then lastly, we need our message input. So I'm pressing F, dragging this out. Let's give it a fill of light level 2. Let's give it a round border radius of, let's say, 8, height of 40, And then we're going to give it a placeholder message. So let's say message here. Give it a color of, say, like quaternary text. And then we're going to give it a font size of 16. Make this an auto layout. And then have the padding be 8 horizontal, 8 vertical. Actually, let's make it 12 horizontal. All right, it's looking good. And as you can guess, we're now going to make this whole thing an auto layout. Fix the spacing a little bit. So let's make the spacing between these guys 20. And then let's make this guy a little bit taller. And then we're going to make him fill the container. We're going to make him fill the container. And now it's going to make him fill the container. All right. And another important thing, we actually want the date here. So let's add the date, say October, say 12, 2022. And make this quaternary text. All right. And now we actually want this guy to be inside of here. And what I just did here is when I have it selected, I'm pressing the up and down arrow keys to bring it up to the top. And then we're going to fill the container. And then we're going to center it. Okay, so that's our messages here. Actually, let's fix the padding here. Let's make this 20 horizontal and 20 vertical. Move that there. Okay. All right, now let's option click. And now we're going to create it as if we were typing a message. So let's go ahead and drag in the icon. Let's make this the send icon. And then we're going to make it an auto layout here. Make it horizontal. We're going to adjust the position. Then we're going to make this guy fill the container. We're going to make this guy fill the container. All right. And then we're going to make the spacing between them be, let's say 8 or 4. And then we're going to make this a light primary text color. And then we're just going to say typing a message. All right. We're going to name this chat message typing. Okay. All right, now we need to show what it will look like if we're creating a new conversation. So let's go ahead and copy this guy down. And we're going to delete these messages here. We're going to delete this guy here as well. And we're going to say new message here. Delete this minimize button. Okay. And then we're going to have a input. So actually, let me steal this input. It's going to say search user. All right. So this is going to be chat messages, new conversation. Okay. Then we're going to option click. Let's say we're searching a user, say Jill. And we're going to make a frame here. It's going to be our search results. Say light level 2. Let's have a rounding of 8. Make this primary text because we're actually typing here. And then we're going to have a search result. Let's just steal this guy here. Copy, paste, bring it up, put in here. Make this auto layout. Fill the container. Let's have a padding of, say, 12. 12. Okay. And this is going to say, let's just say, Jill, I don't know, true. J, true. And then we need a new avatar. So we're actually just going to change this picture to a woman. Okay, there's Jill. Let's bring this up. Shorten this a little bit. Let's actually make these two an auto layout since they're related, and then change the spacing here to 12. Okay. And then now let's go ahead and option click drag again. And now if we actually select Jill, then it should look more like our messages here. So let me go ahead and copy and paste that. And we're going to say this is search user. We're going to say click user. And so now we would have our friend Jill in here instead of John. And we will have no messages here. Okay. So there's that. So we have our messages where we actually can send a message, and we have previous messages. And then we have our new conversation. And then lastly, we need if we actually minimize this. So if I were to minimize this conversation, it actually should show just an avatar here. So we're just going to copy this guy, delete this whole thing, paste it, move it down to the bottom, and let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's say 56 by 56. Oops. Actually, no, that's a little too big. Let's make it, say, 48. Cool. All right, so this is if we minimize. Okay. All right, so now we have our conversations. If we click on one, we have our messages. We have what it'll look like if we're typing a message to send. Then we have our new conversation, searching for a user. We click on that user, and now we can send them a message. And then finally, we have if we minimize our messages. Okay. And so now what we need to do is create the mobile version of this. So I'm going to press F, go over here to phone. It's like iPhone 14. And this would be pretty simple. Let's just steal this navigation bar here. So this is going to be our iPhone 14 blank. Do the same thing here. Well, actually, if it's clicked, we won't see the navigation bar. But what we actually will see is the conversations. So I copy this guy, I'll paste him right here, and then we're just going to drag him out to fill the container. Okay. All right. And now we need a way to get out of here. So we're going to add chevron icon here. Boom. And now we can go back. And so this is our iPhone 14 conversations or chat clicked. And then we have our actual messages once we click on a conversation. So I copy this guy, going to bring him over, paste. Then we're going to fill the container or the frame here. All right. And then we're just going to make this a little bit taller so that the message input can go to the bottom. Okay. All right. And for the sake of it, we'll do this one more time for a new message, but I think we get the point. We don't have to add any extra buttons here because they can minimize or close it with these buttons here. So click this guy, copy this one here, bring it in, paste, stretch it to fill the container. All right. And there we go. We're going to say messages. And we're going to say new conversation. All right. Now, if you want to get fancy, you want to prototype this, we can. So actually before, I'm actually going to move this main component out and copy it in. The reason why I did that is because if we actually connected this here, then if we see all of these would be connected there, which we don't want. So I'm going to click on this and say none. And then we can start from here. So if we click on this guy, we're going to dissolve animation into chat clicked. If we click on this conversation, we should go to chat messages. If we click on this plus sign, we should go to new conversation. Okay. And then for the same reason why I pulled that navigation bar out, I'm actually going to make this a component, copy it over here, delete this one. That way I can send this to minimize and that one would go too. So let's double click this guy. And I can actually create interactions up here. So we're going to say on click, navigate to, it's already there, minimize. On this one, we can say on click, navigate to desktop blank. And then we click the input, we're going to go here to type the chat message. Okay, and now we can see that this guy is already going to blank in the minimize. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to make this a component, copy it over, delete this one, send this guy to desktop blank. Navigate to desktop blank. And then when we click search user, we want to go to search user. When we click on this user, we want to go to click user. And when we click on this guy, we want to go to minimize. And when we click on this guy, we want to navigate to desktop blank. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this out. All right. Click here, we get our conversations. Click this guy, we get our messages. Click the input, we get our typing. Click minimize, we go to minimize. Okay. Now we can try creating a new conversation. So let's go here, click new conversation. Now we're here. Click search user. Now we're there. Click her. Now we're here. Click close. We should go back to close. Okay. So that's working. You can do the same for mobile. I actually need a minimize portion for this. So let's copy you down. Copy this little avatar. Paste them here. There you go. Say minimize here. Minimize. There we go. And we can do the same thing. So if we click on this button, we're going to go to our chat clicked, but instead of dissolving, let's slide in. And if we click on our conversation, let's go to our messages. We're also going to slide in there. And if we click on the plus sign, we should go to our new conversation. Okay. And then if we click on this back button, we should go back. Let's say slide out. Actually, we kind of wanted to, slide that way. And then minimize, we're going to minimize. Let's slide out down. Close, we're going to blank. Let's also slide out down. Close, we're going to iPhone blank. All right, let's go ahead and test this out. Okay, if we click this, we go here. Click this guy, we go there. Minimize, we minimize. All right. Now if we click this guy, we go here. If we click plus, we go to our new conversation. And we close, we close. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is the dark mode. So the way we're going to do that is just changing the colors. So first, actually, let's move this out of the way. Let's select everything and make sure all our colors are correct. So I see some of these colors, like this FFF here, it should be a primary text or something. So now I'm seeing here, we didn't set the background here. So that should be light background. And this 000, let's play around with this. It looks like it's that messages icon and also this message just text there. So one way we can change the icon is actually just go up to this icon and make it light primary text. Okay. Whoa. Didn't mean to do all that. And then there's this messages guy here, which should be light primary text. Okay. So now let's just copy all this down. We have one more guy that's 000, which is what? Oh, the messages here. Okay, so I guess I can just say light primary text here. All right. I'm pretty sure this D99 thing, because I've seen it so many times. It's when you create this avatar guy. So if I was to create an avatar, you can see it's D9, 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 but then we put a picture on top of it. So that doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and copy this down. don't know where this red style is coming from now. Oh, it must be that D99, yep. Or D9, D9. And all we need to do is just change these colors to our dark mode colors. I mean, again, I selected these beforehand, so let's go ahead and do that. Level 1, dark background, dark level 2, dark tertiary, dark quaternary, dark inverted primary, dark inverted tertiary. All right, so now if we go in here, looks pretty good. Okay, so that is our Figma design. We have our dark mode, we have our light mode, we had some prototyping. Let's go ahead and code it.